We have a salvation in progress.
423.
1017 Edgewood Avenue, Crane.
Guys, I'm going to spend a little time with you this afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon. We're in Matthew 15, verse 13, excuse me, 16, verse 13. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, some others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." But then he asked this question, "But what about you? Who do you say I am?" Peter, Simon answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Guys, I want to tell you that one kind of a blessing about getting a little bit older, doing this for a little while, is you begin to realize that when you come to a place and you say, "Well, what about that old boy over there? Or what about that guy? Or what about..." Everybody's got an opinion. And I have been following a guy for many years. You may or may not recognize this story, but about 1983-ish, maybe 82, there was a Olympic athlete in Montana, Madison County, Montana. And she was training, she was running up mountains and getting ready. She was a biathlete, and she was training, and it was off season and the altitude and everything she was working. Her name was Carrie Swenson. And again, I don't know everything about this story, so this is my understanding of it. But Carrie is running, and these two self-proclaimed mountain men, it was a father and a son, and they took her hostage. And they used these words like this. They went and they kidnapped her. They put her on a dog chain. They were leading around and said, "We're going to use you to start a new tribe." I don't know how many people wouldn't that not be the most terrifying thing in the world. But they took her up in the mountains, and of course no one knew where she was. And they began to go further up the mountains. Well, they got a rescue situation where they're looking for her, thinking she may have fallen, and one of her would-be rescuers was killed by them. And there was a shootout, and she actually got shot in the shootout, Carrie did, and she got away. And the two mountain men fled. So those are basically, I think everybody agrees on the facts of that. But Madison County, Montana is a very small population, 4,000 or 5,000 people in the whole county. It's mountainous, it's tough. And the sheriff at that time, his name was Johnny France. Johnny France was an ex-rodeo rider. He had been in law enforcement for, I don't know, at that time probably 10 years, 12 years, and a cowboy, and always wanted to be a cowboy, wanted to be a rodeo rider. So I'm going to put that story on pause a minute, and I want to tell you about me in 1985. In 1985, I subscribed to this magazine called Police Magazine. I am working as a patrol officer in South Arkansas, and there's this picture of this guy on the cover of Police Magazine, and it says Johnny France, Officer of the Year. Policeman of the Year, whatever they called him. And so I read this article about Johnny France. Johnny France, again, was the sheriff at that time in Madison County. So I read that, and first, what drew me to him is he was, he was 100% cowboy, had his hat on, had his uniform on. He was carrying, I think it was a single action. I think he's actually carrying a Browning 9mm. He also had, they called him the 44 Magnum toting sheriff because he had a 44 Magnum lever action rifle, which I'm crazy about lever action rifles. But anyway, so he is there, and they interview him. They talk about him. I guess he's got to be in a parade in Washington. Ronald Reagan has honored him. The people in Oklahoma have honored him because of this story. So let's go back to the story. So that's how I got interested in this man. So in my eyes, this guy had it going on, So as I got going back to the story, so Carrie gets away, and these men get away. Carrie gets away. She's treated and she recovers. But these guys are up in the mountains, and for the next 6 months, Johnny France is looking for these guys. This happened on his watch. There was a larger populated county next door, and the sheriff there had some things to say about Johnny. And anyway, there's a little bit of rivalry. But the point I'm making is this: Johnny, in the next 6 months, spent 6 months. He looked for them. He did it on horseback. He did it on snowmobile. Whatever he could do. He spent hours and hours and hours developing, talking with relationships with the ranchers, trying to say, hey, have you seen them? Have you been? And at some point, about 6 months later, after walking 4 miles through the snow, he gets a drop on these guys because a rancher has said, hey, I think somebody's camping out there. He gets a drop on these guys. They are arrested. It makes national news. It's a huge deal. They're convicted. They're put in jail, and all is well. You would think. However, there's movies made. Some of the movies have the Johnny France as being a bumbling sheriff and not knowing what he's doing. There's books written. Some of the books have him written as a hero. Some of them written. You've got the President of the United States saying he's a hero. That you've got Police Magazine saying he's Officer of the Year. And then at the next election, he lost by 200 votes. One of his deputies ran against him, and he lost. So you have to ask your question: if you were one of the mountain men that was arrested by him, what would your opinion of Johnny France been? If you were the sheriff next door and Johnny was grabbing all the glory supposedly, what was your opinion of him? But listen, I want to tell you that my opinion from where I was, he was somebody to be looked up to. I want to tell you that no matter what you do in this life, people are going to have an opinion. And now with Facebook and with all these things, everybody feels free to just, instead of going to a person and saying, hey, I got a problem with this or problem, we feel totally free to just start spouting off and tell everything that we know about everything. I'll never forget the first time that I saw a major entertainer or a major singer come out on a political issue. And it affected me. And then I began to think about it. I think, wait a minute, I really like this guy's music. He really speaks to me on a musical, but does he really know anything about politics? Does he really know the facts? Has he wore the jeans and ate the beans? Has he been out there? Has he been in the arena? Or is he just standing up here? They're using him to say this about that. And in this day and time, that's what everyone is doing. And I want to tell you, when Jesus was here, he asked the question, who do you think I am? Who are they saying I am? Well, you're obviously doing miracles. You're Elijah. Well, you're Jeremiah that's come back. But who is Jesus? Everyone's got an opinion. Guys, I want to tell you something. Jesus suffered and died for you. He came to this earth to be a living sacrifice for you. The whole foundation of Christianity. You can, listen, guys, you can go back and you can say every curve that Christianity went wrong, every time we divided, every time we split, every time we sent crusades to do this, to that, all the things that's been done in the name of Christ. But I want to tell you something. The basis of Christianity, of Christ, is Him murdered on a cross for me. He didn't send somebody. He didn't, listen, Jesus Christ died on the cross for us. That's who He is. He's the basis of Christianity. Have we got it wrong once or twice? Oh, yeah. Have we made some mistakes? Oh, yeah. I read an article the other day about Johnny France. It's only been 25, 30 years. I'm still reading about him. I read an article about Johnny France the other day, and he admits to, at one point, having a hippie. They were having some kind of a hippie in his jail, and he got him out and had made him get a haircut. Was that right? No. That's not right. You can grow your hair as long as you want to. It's America. But here's the deal. He caught those boys, and he did what he was supposed to do. What are you going to do? God's given you a life. God's given you a future. All right, let's say goodbye to the past. Let's stand on the reality that we have a Savior who died for us, that we can live with Him forever. Let's accept that, walk on that foundation, and be the men and women God's called us to be. Not small-minded accountants, legalists, this person, that person, this person. No, you don't have to agree with everything I think. My wife don't agree with everything I think. Although never mind. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. But the truth is that we get along fine. You don't have to agree with everything I think. I don't have to agree with everything you think. But let's stand on the foundation of Christ and let's do something about this suffering world. The problems that we all face together as humans. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Get him out of the sack this morning. If you've got God in a sack, you got a little God. Let him be God, high and lifted up. This is the Old Law Dog. OldLawDog.com. Facebook, Bruce Kim Belin, B-E-L-I-N. Write us, send us a message. If you watch this, share it. Have a great day. God bless.